Nah, yeah. And Tia's here too. I don't know if she's on the call or not.
No, she told she may not join this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good morning, Atharu. Is there someone we are waiting for, or we can start the session?
Hi, Divya. Let me check. I don't know if your process is here.
I didn't see her name today. Yeah.
Let me check if Rosie will be joining with us.
Yeah, sure.
Rosie is here. Rosie, are you there?
Yes. Hurry.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can start, Divya.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Offshore. So today we are going to review all the work orders which we have under in progress, acknowledged as in the new work orders, and as well as the ones which we have released it and it is waiting for testing, and the one which we are working along with Oracle in the way of SR. So we have an Oracle SR that is going on. So we'll discuss all of this. And as per TR's request, we are not going to discuss waiting for business work orders, waiting for business and waiting on hold. So maybe I think she would check with Oracle team at a later point of stage and might close that work orders along with business, I believe. So we are going to discuss only on the in progress work orders and waiting for testing and Oracle SR. And though we have a session on the ticketing tool, I'll just show you how the ticketing tool looks like and how we go through the tickets. So this is a fresh service tool. So we access it through this link, and if we come to the dashboard, this will have the complete list based on the filter whatever we have selected over here. So to give an overview on all the open work orders, what I have done is I have selected offshore group and all the open and the pending work orders. So this would give me the complete list, and we can even export it. And when we do an export, we would get an email to our email address, which is set up along with this with our login. So we would get an email, and the ticket extract would look like this. And when we go to the individual work orders, we can see in the details like whatever has got updated over there and who has raised it and what is the issue. And we usually add a note once we are done with our analysis. We will add the note, and the business would take it up or Oracle team would take it up. So this is just an overview so that we can jump into the overall open work orders. So first we will discuss about the functional work orders. I'll go with Shiva's name. Yeah. So we'll have an incident number, and we usually go with this Oracle AMS status, which would have whether the ticket is acknowledged. Whenever a new ticket comes in, it would be in acknowledged status, assigned status, but I'll be assigning it to the offshore team, and it would get changed to acknowledged once they acknowledge the work order, saying that okay, they have seen the work order and they can start working on it, or they can check the feasibility on if it is a new enhancement or if there is any changes. So till the time they start working, the analysis phase, the feasibility check phase, and the estimation phase will be in acknowledged status, and all the work orders which they are working upon will be in progress, And the ones we have provided solution will be either in waiting for business in case if it is awaiting their response, or if there is any change made to a code and it requires PCH migration, then we would keep it under waiting for testing and it would get migrated to PCH instance where Oracle team would test it and move further to prod. And the ones which we require help from Oracle, we raise an SR in case of any standard functionalities that is not behaving properly or correctly, then we raise an SR and we keep that under waiting for vendor status. So first we'll go through the ACM and manufacturing related work orders, which is assigned to our offshore ACM functional consultant, Shiva Prasad. So we can go through one by one. And the first work order is 70211, existing backorder line function not working. Shiva, can you just give an overview on this?
Hello, good morning, everybody. Divya, am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, Shiva, you are.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. This order number 70211. It is regarding custom forming in warehouse manager responsibility. So what was the issue? The issue was here that they wanted to back order some sales orders were already staged or pick from pick status, and it was not allowing this. So based on this, we raised an SR with Oracle, and Oracle gave us new code. So when we tried this code in the India and the order was bad, it allowed the system to back out the sales orders. Any questions on this, please?
Just a little. Can you put the cursor in the description field, please? Just to read the complete description.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think in the KT we have gone through our custom form under warehouse manager. So that would also have the backorder functionality. So what was happening is once it gets backordered, it was going into exception because the form internally checks for WSH exception, which is a standard API. And what was happening is we passed the locator ID, I believe. But in that particular package, there was no ID getting passed, instead the locator name, which was creating a trouble because I think there were two locators with different IDs. And it was a standard API, so we did approach to Oracle and they have given a solution on this.
Okay, for example, in this book order, this is an error that only exists in production, right?
Yeah, it exists even in production.
Yeah, in order to no.
Right now, no.
This was in all instances.
Okay. Just to ensure that the fix is checking first in a test instance before to pass to production.
Mm-hmm.
For all the work orders, they need to review first in a test instance or before to pass to production the solution.
Yes.
Okay.
In PCH instance.
In PCH instance, okay.
Yeah.
What about PCH new instance? Do you have the scenarios in that instance, or only do you work only on PCH?
We have it even in PCH instance. Okay. Because since PCH is a weekly clone, what would happen is any issue which is identified in prod will also be there in PCH.
Yeah, because it's an weekly clone instance.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a weekly clone.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we implement all of our solution into PCH. And there are few things like where we may not be able to replicate if it is specific to a particular transaction or something like that. So we try our best to replicate the issue and we will proceed with the fix in PCH.
So in case
But
if
this kind
the
of scenarios where it is related to a standard API and this was there in PCH as well. So we have implemented the fix which Oracle has provided in PCH instance.
yeah, what happens if the problem appears maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday? Do you have to wait for the clone, or do you have any exception for the clone?
That depends on how big is the issue that arises during period close, and the solution that we are going to implement. Like if it is a simple change, we would do it directly in prod. But if it is a riskier one, then we will have to clone the instance and implement our solution in PCH and then move to prod.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
That is purely like based on the situation which we are in, and it would be decided by mostly TIA.
Okay. Good.
So all of the waiting for testing work orders would be in PCH instance
Okay.
for them to test. Sorry.
Okay. It's clear.
Thank you. Yeah, Shiva, you can proceed. Sorry, I did a sort just now. So Shiva, the next work order is inventory summary 72786. Shiva, if you're talking, you're on mute, I think. Okay, I think maybe he is having some audio issues. But this work order is about creation of a new report that would list all the inventory as an item details that is belonging to EQP. So our team is still checking on the feasibility and the estimation. So whenever a new enhancement request comes in, what we do is we check the time that is going to take for this particular enhancement request to get complete. So the team will first analyze if there is any existing report that would serve its purpose, because this is a new report request that has come in. So they will first check if there is already a report which the business could leverage, and in case if it is very specific or it is very custom that they want this report, we would check on the feasibility, like how many total man-hours it is going to take for the design, development and testing of this particular report, and moving it to prod all the way along. So we would give an estimation to TIA that so and so, like 80 hours is needed for this particular report to get completed. And once TIA gives a sign off, then we would take it under in progress. Once she approves it, we will take it under in progress, and we will start working on this. So the team is still checking on this particular report. This is a new report that was asked by business to pull up all the EQP related items and its details. Any questions?
No, not so far.
Okay, thank you. And the next one is 77308 KKSW shop cost not received. So this actually just before this meeting we have given an update. This incident was raised saying that the Bakemark invoices were not created, and Mark had raised a concern to check why it was not invoiced for all the Bakemark receipts. He has given two PO numbers. So we were checking on this, and Mark, we did identify that there are invoices already created in the system. I think Shiva has already updated the work order, but I'll also send you out an email, Mark,
Okay.
on this.
All right.
And I think one is duplicate, so we must have updated in one work order. I think the sample one which I showed you in the ticketing tool, it has the details. So for everything, the invoice got created, and a few are not paid, but all are invoiced. For few, it is ERS invoice, and for all the TPV vendor ones, it is not an ERS.
Just a question: do you have to update any status in Fresh Service Tool?
Yeah, here we would have to update the Oracle AMS status.
Okay.
If we are waiting on business, we would just update this as waiting for business. Since we have given an update that the issue raised was both have been received from Bakemark, but neither have been invoiced. But when we checked, the invoices are already present. So we would just wait for their response. Here, we would go ahead and change. For example, for all the waiting for testing work orders, once we are done with the CM document and before migrating it to, or after migrating to PCH instance, we would change it to waiting for testing. And
Okay.
any Oracle SR related ones, we will change it to waiting for vendor.
And all of this status is visible
Oracle.
for the users?
Which one?
Yeah. All of these status are visible for the user, because I don't know, maybe you're changing the status and maybe the user wants to know what the status is in some ticket or some work order.
I think Oracle team will be able to see all of the status, but I'm not sure whether users as well will be able to see. But every time an update happens, a user will get an email stating that your incident has been updated with so-and-so details. Please click here to go to the incident, and they will be able to view these notes. But I'm not sure whether they will be able to view all of the internal status related stuffs. But our Oracle team will be able to view this.
Okay.
And I think regarding this particular tool, I think Mike would cover in detail in the later session. I think tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
Okay.
And the next one is inventory usage analysis report. Shiva?
Hi, Vijay. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. I'm sorry, there was some problem with the internet connection. Yeah. The next one is 75110. This is regarding KK object inventory report. This issue was raised because the user checked on an item and told that the item quantity used over a certain period of time was larger than the one displayed in the report. So we had a meeting with Laura, and she explained us the issue, and we found that the report has got negative as well as positive transactions, hence it was showing that quantity. And also there was a request from Laura that this report uses inventory org as a parameter. And also, so the other requirement which Laura told that she wanted this report divided into two parts. One for only OPM orgs and therefore discrete orgs. And we are working on the feasibility to check we can do that.
Thank you, Shiva. So basically, Arturo, this came in as a support work order that the obsolete inventory report, they are finding some discrepancies or asking why the quantity is minimal. So they are expecting a larger quantity for that particular item. But later there were also a sort of enhancement that was requested on this. So there will be this kind of work orders as well. Any questions, or we'll move on to the next one?
Rosie, do you have any question?
No question so far, Livia. Thanks.
Thank you, Rosie. Yeah. And the next one is product types are not getting applied to retail defense energy pipes. Shiva.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen for a moment, Divya.
Yeah, sure.
I hope it is visible.
Yeah.
This issue is regarding from the Australian team. So what happened is here they have created some new items, and at the item level they have set up DSM certain DFF values type 1 up to type 5. And what they noticed when they're running this report was that there are some the column E has got certain channels. It's got the column E is channel. So what they observed was that for if it is retail, it is not displaying any of these DFF values. And if it is the wholesale, then it is showing the values of the DFF. So they wanted to know why this is happening and to resolve it. And this is a new work order. And this morning I had a meeting with the Australian team. So I got the requirement, and we have to check the code, like why it's not displaying the values for this particular channel retail. And it's happening only for the newly created items. I'll stop the presentation, Divya. Can you
Okay.
share your screen?
Shiva, one doubt. If you see the line number 451, that is also retail, right?
Yeah.
But it still
Yeah, we
has
saw
a-
that. Yeah, we saw that, but still had to analyze. We just got the requirement today, so we have to see like why it came for this particular revenue center, but it's not appearing for the other revenue centers if it is retail. So we need to check why it is cutting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Shiva.
I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
This we already.
Yeah,
7021,
this we
I
already
think it is.
discussed it, existing backorder line functionality. So moving on to the next one, 76505, LPN not showing in batch.
Yeah, this issue is regarding a manufacturing batch for the Burlington North. So the batch was manufactured and in completed status, but one of the completed products LPNs was not showing in the material transactions in the batch screen. So we raised an SR and Oracle gave us a script to update the batch with missing LPN and as well as change the actual quantity of the batch. And it is also already, I think, Mark created a change management document and it was approved and it is moved to production.
Yes, I know it's already been approved. I'm not sure if it's been moved to production yet, but yes.
Okay, sorry, Mark, I didn't know that. I thought I knew that change was approved.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll have to follow up. We've had several of these. They happen probably, 3 or 4 times a year? Something like that. So I get them mixed up.
Just a doubt. Where can I see if these work orders are priority or a normal work order?
We do have a priority field over here, Atul, but usually what happens is I think it would come from users or Oracle team, which I'm not sure, but we discuss in the weekly AMS call. So at that point, Tia or Oracle team would tell that, okay, this particular work order is priority and we need this to be completed. So if you see in our weekly dashboard, we would have priority work orders tab.
So the level of this kind of the level of the work order is discussed with Tia and
Yeah.
She assigned the level.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Oracle team and Tia when they have a discussion, because work order keeps coming from many users, right? Many requesters. So we may not be sure. We will be working on a particular work order, and there will be another one coming up with medium priority. But between these two work orders, which one we have to work on priority, those things depends on the risky stuff, like how many users are getting affected in prod, or if things can wait. For example, if there's a new enhancement request and we have some burning issues from the support side with the support work orders, we tend to resolve those first, and enhancement request we can move to a medium priority, and we can take it up whenever we get time or bandwidth on that. Mostly
just
Oracle
to-
team would be.
Sorry, Divya. Just to clarify, the level is assigned by Oracle team, right?
Yep.
In all tickets or all work orders. Yes.
No, mostly we'll not go to each and every work order, but for example, these two, like international royalty transfer and process in Oracle, they wanted the go live date to be like within a week or something during that time, as in May or April. So at that time, we had to complete this work order on priority. So this came under the priority bucket, but right now we completed the domestic part. So the priority is gone now, on international it is still waiting on business. So this had two parts, and for domestic, the data that comes in from the standard reporting, they were stopping that calculation that is being done on that side. So they have a specific date before which we have to move it. So there is a pressure at that point saying that this has to be the priority, not the other enhancement work orders. So during those times, this kind of work order will come under priority. And this is one support work order that is on priority right now, which we also tested, and it got moved to PCH, where from Australia side, there is a checkbox. So if the checkbox is not selected, then auto create PO was not happening, and that was giving them a lot of manual task.
Okay.
So that needs to be resolved at the earliest. So this kind of things, based on the complexity and what we discussed during the meetings, we can get to know what are the critical and priority work orders. And those work orders, we usually put it under the priority work orders tab in our weekly dashboard, and we will discuss it every week.
Okay.
And our main focus would be to first cover up the priority work orders and then move on to others.
Okay.
And,
Thanks, Divya.
Thank you, Rosie. And the next one is batch completion issue. Shiva.
This issue is regarding this happens for Australia and New Zealand manufacturing batches. So when they create a new batch and try to release it, so there's an issue. Mark and Sandeep are another S consultant. They have proposed a workaround for this. So what happens is, when they create the batch and when they see the error, so what they do is they note down which item is causing that particular issue, and they go and delete it from the material transaction screen, and then they go and release the batch, and then after completing the batch, then they add the item back. So with this the correct quantity, and I think Sandeep also has raised an SR on this and is working with Oracle. Mark, anything you want to add, Mark?
No, we're not hearing anything back from Oracle, but yes, that what you just stated was true, Shiva.
Any questions on this, please?
No.
So these are mostly the functional side of ACM and OPM work orders, and there would be few work orders that is belonging to ACM as well, but where more of technical help would be required, and that would be assigned to the technical person, which we can discuss when we go to the corresponding person's team. Thank you, Shiva. So now I'll move
Thank
to
you.
finance
Thank you.
functional. which is being handled by Vikram Patel from offshore.
Sorry.
Shall I?
Yes, Atma.
Yeah, can you show the last work description for the description for the last work order, please?
This one?
55, yeah. The 55 row.
55?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Let me check. I don't know. Yeah, I just want to know what I can know. No, sorry. Maybe I read something else, but go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So, Vikram, the first one, Oracle update customer maintenance.
Yep. Hi. Hello, everyone. Regarding this work order, which was an enhancement issue, where the requirement was that there was a field called AR market, so that needed to be updated. The name should be changed to cash application. And there are numerous reports in the customer side where this collector field, which was AR market, and that needed to be changed to cash application. And we worked upon that, and that is currently into testing phase. I mean, the changes are done from our side, and so it is waiting for testing now.
So just to add upon Vikram's point, so here in the customer setup screen, we have a field called AR market right now, which they have to just rename it. So all we did was modify the DFF name, as in the display name, from AR market to cash application. And with this change, usually they fill in the collector name in that particular field. So whenever they do some maintenance or any kind of changes in the customer or supplier setups, so at times maybe we may get such request, and this is one among them, to rename that particular field. And also with this DFF change, what has happened is the collector field is being used in few other reports, like 5 or 6 CPG reports. So internally our technical team has verified that where all this particular DFF is being used, and we did correct the template. Mostly it is the template, because there is no change in the attribute where the collector name is getting passed. So there is no change, but only in the template we just had to change from AR market to cash application. And all these changes have been migrated to PCH instance, and it was waiting for testing. And if no questions, I can move on to accrual reconciliation. Load run takes long time to run. So this is one of the standard program AP accrual reconciliation load run program. So this was taking a very long time, because users, they were running this particular load run program from 2015 till date, which was not suggested by Oracle. Usually we run it for like a month mostly, but they were running it for like 4 or 5 years, and it was running for like 1 week, 2 week. It was running for such a long frame, and they should not be running it. Mostly they can run it for like a quarter maybe. So we did raise an ASA with Oracle, and Oracle has suggested few steps and patches, which we have implemented in PCH, and right now the performance of this standard program has improved. But still we have also suggested business that they should not run this particular program for a very long time, because it would fetch both the details from AP and as well as the PO to do the APPO reconciliation. So it has a very huge volume of data. And when they run it for like years together, it would take a very long time. So we have suggested them to run it for a month or maximum a quarter. And also we can see that the improvement in the performance in PCH instance. We are just waiting upon Kausi to come and to come back from her vacation and test and confirm it.
Okay, in the description, here is the error message, but I cannot see what's the error. Is this a picture or
should be the picture. What I'm thinking is maybe the program would have got errored out after running for so long. So maybe he has posted a picture. Okay. I can quickly open it and show you. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the
program.
Is,
yeah.
No, attach it in the Excel. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Good.
The next one is AutoCache application master program in PCH ETS instance. Vikram?
Yeah. So we have a logbox process in KK for 820 and 823 receipts, in which the receipts are getting created automatically for a number of customers. And let's say for a customer called Publix, in which we run the logbox program, which that program creates the receipts automatically, and then Publix send remittance details, like all the invoice details which they want that particular receipt to get applied to all those invoices. So those all details Publix sent after a couple days when the receipt was created. So those details are called as remittance details, and they comes in a different file that gets stored into the server. And then there's a program called remittance load, which loads all those details into that receipt. After that, we generally sometimes in Logbox, this program called AutoCache application master program is also attached to that master program. So this program auto applies all the invoices which are qualified and applicable for that particular receipt and is available in the system as an open invoice. So in case when it is successfully able to apply those invoices to that receipt, so this program generates even the output saying that all these invoices are applied to this particular receipt. So what was the issue was that this program was completing fine when there was no application. I mean, there were remittance details, but they were not getting applied to the receipt. In that case, this program was completing normal. But when there were the auto application, in that case, this program was erroring out. And we wanted to know the reason of this, and this being a seeded program, we did contact to Oracle, and we found out that there's a table called AR cache automatch table, and there were some duplicate records, and this we found out after upgrade. It wasn't happening before that. So we worked with Oracle regarding that. We got a data fix through which we were able to delete those duplicate records, and after that it is completely working fine.
Thank you, Vikram. Any questions, Rosie, Atro? Or we move on to the next work order?
No questions. Arthur, you have a question?
No. Maybe. No.
¿No? ¿Alguien más? ¿Tiene dudas, chicos? ¿Alguien que quiera preguntar algo? ¿No?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Divya, thanks.
Thank you, Rosie. And the next one is immediate action aged expense report. Vikram?
Yeah. So there's a report called KK Credit Card Outstanding Transaction Detail Report. which gives the summary of all the available credit card transactions in the system, which are either they are unused or are they waiting for any approval, or are they waiting on manager's approval, or they are paid. So all the details of all the credit card transactions which are there in the system, this report gives you the summary of all those transactions. So what was the issue here is that when you run the program and there were some 10 to 12 expense report numbers, those status were not matching to the Oracle. Like when you go to the Oracle and look for the same expense report number, the status which shows in the Oracle was not matching to the status which is there in the report. So for that reason, because even though this program is called as KK Credit Card Transaction Detail Report, and this sounds like a custom, but the CD program it doesn't give the output in an Excel format, but we wanted the output in an Excel format, so we created a program out of that, and we reached to Oracle for this issue, and we found out that the status which shows in the report is correctly fine, but the status which is there in the Oracle, those are not updating properly, and there's an issue with that because report is displaying the status based on the value for workflow accrued flag, which is M. So for that reason, we worked with Oracle and we got a data fix, and we even tested that, and it is working fine in PCH today.
Thank you. So what was happening is in the report we were using an API or the package to retrieve the status of that particular expense report. So there were few discrepancies that were identified by the user Stephanie, because there are few expense reports which shows like when we open the expenses, it would show pending payables approval, but actually it would be pending manager's approval and vice versa. Few expense report which shows in the system that it is pending manager approval. Here in the report it would show as pending payables approval. So since we were retrieving the status using the standard package, we did approach to Oracle, and Oracle confirmed that the package is retrieving the correct details, but whatever we see in the expense report from the expense form, that is wrong, so they have given a data fix. Moving on to the next one, action required expense KKIEXP 3710576 for Cracker Jason.
Yeah, so there was an issue for the user called Craig Jason, and for the approval for the expense report of that person was moving to J. Charlesworth, but that was not the correct approval. It was supposed to move to it was Tim, right? The Tim Claston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you see the dollar amount, it is only $108. So ideally, the expense reports follow the supervisor hierarchy, and the supervisor should have the limit to approve this particular amount because it is only $108. So, but what was happening is this expense report was going until Joshua and Mike, who are at higher management level, like vice president and president. So, when we looked at the code, the underlying AME package, which gets the supervisor and immediate supervisor and the top supervisor ID, was retrieving, was going into exception because of a code bug that was identified, and it got corrected.
So the problem was with the decimals?
Yeah, problem was with one of the custom package, which we usually in AME for the supervisor hierarchy to follow. There are two attributes which needs to get populated properly. One is the supervisor default starting point ID, stating that, okay, this has to go from, for example, if we consider my team, it has to go from Vikram to Suken to Divya. So in this case, Vikram should have the limit to approve this. But what was happening is it was coming till for my approval, as in it was going to the complete supervisor chain. But in AME, we have two fields, which is supervisor default starting point ID, and the next one is top supervisor ID. So what would happen is if we pass Vikram's employee ID over here and Vikram's employee ID over to the top supervisor ID, the package would internally get this. So ideally, this should be the value. But what was happening is the supervisor default point, starting point ID was coming properly, but the top supervisor ID was going into exception. And we have a person defined an exception lookup in case if there are any error that is found in any of the SQL query. We capture it in exception and we return that function value to data manager. So it was going to data manager, let's say Shiva. And there is no direct supervisor chain between Vikram and Shiva. So what was happening is AME engine was going into error because of that, and it was moving on to the complete chain.
Okay.
So we did correct the code. The issue mainly happened because there were two rows that was coming in when we checked the person ID from HR assignments table. Because usually we will have an effective start date and end date, right? So that state check was not there. So we did modify that because in case if there were two assignments, like one got end dated as on today and the other one is starting from tomorrow till 2024. For example, one got end dated in July 29, 2022. And this one would have got end dated on July 28, 2022. There will be two assignments. So in such cases, what was happening is a distinct, there was no distinct, and we were fetching a person ID. So it was giving multiple rows and it was going into exception and it was giving the top supervisor ID as Shiva. And because Shiva doesn't come under any of the supervisor chain of Vikram.
Okay.
We can also discuss more on this during our AME sessions when we handle the finance work orders and separate AME session. So we have corrected that code bug and this as well got moved to PCH for testing. And this was tested and I think it even went to prod, but since Kausi is on vacation, we still have it under waiting for testing. She has to come back and close this work order. There is no action needed on this.
Okay.
And the next one is COA prod issue 1108. I think this work order also will mostly be closed because this is like one-off thing that happened in prod and it became a high severity issue because what happened was I think the accounting team, I believe, they were making some changes to the code combinations and for the code combinations, ultimately, we would have to change the value sets, right? All the segments, account segment, natural account, and company segment, business unit, everything is an underlying value set. So what happened was all the changes, whichever they did for a particular period of time got vanished and it dated back to 2019, I believe. So something, I think maybe at that point there was some log or we are unable to identify what happened. But we did see one of the standard program that got completed, accounting AAD program. that was running in from application manager or sysadmin user, I believe. So what happened was all the changes, whichever they were doing it to the account. For example, they had to let's say we have 40201 account. They must have made this inactive in July 2022. But what happened was suddenly this account became active because at 2019 this account was active. So all the changes went back to 2019. We did correct it because we just had the QA clone and they just had to we got all the extracts from QA for all the value sets, and we did data fix kind of thing, and we did raise an SR to find the root cause. But since there were no trace or TK proof and we couldn't wait on correcting this in prod, so this SR is like not going anywhere. But Oracle is suggesting that for the issue not to reoccur again, or in case if it reoccurs, just to capture the log and all the audits, they were suggesting us to enable the audit trials, which can be done by our DBA team. So we did check with Tia, and by enabling audit trials, it would take a huge hit on performance. So right now, I think we are not ready for it. Tia and Dinesh, they were discussing on this, whether we have to move forward with the audit trial or not. But mostly, I think we'll be closing this work order since the issue is resolved now. Any doubts?
No,
¿Alguien tiene dudas? ¿Alguien quiere preguntar algo?
Rosy, más bien, lo que estaba pensando es que viene, o sea, sí es mucha información así como que platicada.
Sí.
No sé si habrá forma de preguntar, o sea, ahorita, pero quizá como que en qué momento vamos a tener acceso a toda la documentación.
Les escribí en la mañana, Arthur. Ayer me dieron acceso a la carpeta y la descargué completa.
Ya se pudo, ok.
Y la voy a subir a nuestro team. Sería cuestión de ir viendo la documentación que hay.
Sí, todo respecto a esto y tratar de entender que las...
Ajá, por ejemplo, a lo mejor valdría la pena preguntarle si nos podría compartir ese archivo, como para ir entendiendo un poco más lo que nos está explicando, ¿no?
Sí, déjale pregunto, o le pregunto al final más bien, ¿no? Para que no interrumpir la plática de todas las work orders que ahorita tengo.
Okay. Sí, de acuerdo, y le preguntamos al final. ¿Alguien tiene alguna duda? ¿Quieren preguntar algo? ¿O confirmar algo? Chicos, Rose, Emma, Fer, Luis.
Creo que no por el momento.
No. Okay. Thanks, Divya. No more questions. Go ahead. Thank you.
And the next one is Krispy Kreme Don Corporation Westgate Resorts, Vikram.
Yep. So there's a process called e-statement program, in which for those customers who are set up for e-statement, like at the customer setup, the statement type is e-statement, and the billing code is maybe ES or anything from W1 to W7. So there are various days defined for those billing code. So in case when the billing code is ES, so for those customers, this e-statement is getting generated on every Monday. So how we do that is, let's say today is the Monday, and when we are running this program, all those invoices which got created in the last Monday to the just past Sunday, all those invoices which are not generated yet, those will be picked into this program and will be sent over to the customers through an email. So how does it happen is, when we run the e-statement program, and it would generate a PDF and XLS files for those customers, and it will call an XML publisher report to identify the valid reports, and it will generate the PDF and XLS format file which are suitable for those customers, and it will be stored into our server directory. And from that, the bursting program will pick those files and will send to the customer in the form of mail. But what issue we are facing here is that for one customer, which is Westgate Resorts, that customer is not getting those e-statement details in mail. Others are getting, but not the Westgate Resorts. So for that reason, which we were working on that, and we found out that even for this customer, those PDF and XLS data file which gets generated, which includes all the e-statement details, they are generating and they are getting stored in the server. But after that, something is happening, maybe in bursting, that it's not able to pick those data files or those files and not able to, to send it across to Westgate Resorts. So on that part, we are still working.
So we did raise an SR for this because if it is a bursting issue, we just wanted help from Oracle. Everything, if there is issue with the program, it means that none of the customers should receive it. But all other customers are receiving the e-statements, but only this particular one. So we did reach out to Oracle on this. And we are also investigating parallelly. Thank you, Vikram. Any questions?
Thank you.
No.
Okay. So I think we did cover today's agenda of all the functional work orders, but Tia did insist that in case if we have extra time, we will cover all of the work orders. So I'll go to even the technical work orders part.
Just a question, because I think is a lot of information related with the work orders. I don't know if in the let me share. No sé cómo se llama el repositorio. El que pusiste en la mañana de.
Pero
Para preguntar si en el repositorio SharePoint, ¿no?
en el SharePoint. ¿Tú quieres saber si en el repositorio está esta información?
Yeah, just to know, Divya, if into the SharePoint repository, is it possible to find all documentation about the work orders related with this document?
Every work order will have updates in the ticket itself.
But do we have any documentation into the SharePoint?
No. Unless and until we have a CM document and that is migrating it to prod, that we will find it under SharePoint.
Okay. Yeah, because.
But all the details will be over here, starting from the request that got raised and the SR that we have raised it, or any updates for that matter. Everything will be in the ticket. If you want, I can share across the sheet as on today, this particular sheet.
Yeah, maybe that works fine because. Yeah, honestly, I don't remember so well the first work order that you said, and so it's for me it's a lot of details, but I'm curious about how can I find the information related with all these work orders, the answers or the details of the SR, Oracle SARs, something like that in any document that you have. I don't know if it is possible to have all that information related with the work orders.
No, only for the, as I stated, only for the enhancement work orders or any support work orders which required any sort of changes. For that, we have the CM document that would have the test scenarios and the changes what we are doing as in the component wise. Even if it is a functional setup change or the technical setup change, that would be there. But like
Yeah, because I think I'm thinking about a possibility to review in detail.
that would
maybe
be the ticketing tool. It would have all the
Yeah.
details. Yeah.
Yeah, because this in the fresh service tool, we can find all the detail for every work order.
Yeah. If you give the work order number, for example, if you have to go to this particular work order, we can just select that and it would have all the details.
Rosie, do you know if we have an access to this tool right now?
No. Today we have a meeting with Mike Newman, Arthur.
Yeah, because
We can see, we can review with him.
okay, because I don't know if sorry, I have a cell phone. Okay. What do you think about to review all the work orders, Rosie? Is it necessary to or functional to review all of them? Because all the detail that the VA is giving to us.
Yes, I think almost to know
Okay.
or catch up the problem or issue in order to we have clarify about the issue. No.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, through for that thing, I think once you get access to the fresh service tool, maybe the group team and I think TR and Oracle team would assign it to the Mexico group and the corresponding agent, I believe. So that, for example, here not all the work orders are being taken care by a single person. So even in Mexico team, whoever is assigned to that particular work order, they can take complete ownership of that, and that way it would be easier.
Yeah. I think that could be would be great if you share us this file.
Yeah, sure. I'll share this file.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shiva and Vikram. So we'll move on to the technical work orders, which our technical lead Sukin Paul would explain. So the first one is KKNC account payable employee supply bank account creation. Sukin.
Yeah, this is a new interface where for supplier bank account need to be created. So we have developed that component and it is there in CH. We have CM document ready and it is attached to the ticketing tool also. So yeah, it is there waiting for user testing.
Yeah. So this particular work order, it is an enhancement request that came in from Australia team to develop a new interface, new inbound interface, where they would pass all the details that are required for the bank account creation in supplier setup page. For each and every supplier, we can add up the bank accounts, right? So they want to do it through the file upload. So for that reason, we developed an interface and Jason and team from Australia, they told they were testing on that because the requirement came in from one person who is SK, and he is no more with Krispy Kreme Australia. So I think they are still checking, and they have to let us know if they are okay with proceeding with this development, or if there are any changes. We haven't got any details yet. But we did complete all the development, and we have told them that this is the working of this particular program and what it does. Moving on to the next one, Sweet Opportunity 580, 581, and 582. So this is related to iStore performance issue. Yes, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the iStore issue. So when we log into iStore page, and if we go to one category to another category, the page is taking like more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes time to load the page. So eventually we given some workaround to search per item, but also we have raised an SR to, but this is still going for last 6 months, more than 6 months is still going. Product development team is working. So yeah, it is, and SR number is there in ticketing.
I'll just quickly show you. This is the screen which we are talking about that is having a performance. So once a franchisee user logs in, he can click on this hot items or cake mix or coffee. So when we switch to each and every category, there were some performance issue that was noted. This was even before upgrade, I believe, and we did raise an SR, and I think post upgrade we don't find much of a performance issue. Is it, Mark, or they are still going with the search option? Okay, so that was the issue, and for which we have raised an Oracle SR, and Oracle development team is working on this. But we did suggest a workaround to users giving the list of items. For example, if they go and query with the item number, like 10031, if they query it over here, it would be very fast. And I think after upgrade, there is not much of a performance issue that was noted, but we still have this working with Oracle. Any questions?
No, thanks.
Okay. And the next one is PO line item detailed report.
Yeah, it has 2 reports, one non-inventory items and inventory items details. We developed this. This is a new announcement came from Laura, and we developed this report, and Laura has given sign off, and it has a bustling feature also. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this was one of the new report that was requested, and we did complete that, and I think it was even moved to prod.
I given sign off. I'm not sure.
And the next one is INC 69856 black line description truncation. So this one, we have an custom blackline program where it would have the account description and the code combination. So I think instead of all the values, they just want the description of the natural account segment. It was a very simple change because we were giving the expansion of all the accounts, all the segments. So they just wanted the natural account description only. So we just modified that, and it was waiting for testing. And I think it was tested and it was confirmed by Kausalya, but since she is on vacation, we are not sure whether we are okay with prod migration or not. It is waiting on that. And the next one is shop receiving report follow-up.
Yeah, this one Tia has given one query. In that query, we had to add item description and item number. So we had added that 2 columns in the report, and we created that query into a report.
Yeah. So at times there would be requests that would be coming up from Pat mainly, Pat Boyles, and he deals with few of the reporting. So I think the Excel reporting he will take care of, and he has given a query to which we may have to add the item description and item number. So we did check and we added that in the query which was given by Pat, and also they had requested to develop that as a report. So we developed it, and it was waiting for Laura's testing. And the next one is sweep script month end close P6 2022. I think this is an old work order, but this is one of the monitoring bugs which we discussed yesterday, right? We have few sweep scripts where we just change the accounting dates every month in, and Kausalya will raise this work order, this kind of work order every period. For every month, she will be raising one. So, for example, the last month she raised it for P6, and this month she would have raised it for month end close P7 2022. And all we do is we have the same set of scripts where we change the accounting date and all the records that falls under the prior period, and that would error in the create accounting with the error message of GL date does not an open period will get cleared out once we apply that sweep script. And this will also have that sub-inventory script which I told you yesterday. So this is the usual work order that would come into our bucket every month. And the next one is credit card currency correction.
Yeah, this one that bill to end transaction date, transaction amount need to match. So data fix. This is also data fix. Usual data fix for expense report. Which we given, and it is in PCH, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So these work orders as well, the data fix that comes on the expense report of Australian users. Right from the Australia implementation time, at times what happens is in the expense report, the billed amount and the transaction amount would not be equal. It would show a different amount than the billed amount. So they would raise a data fix request, and we used to do that. That is also a kind of a recurring ticket, like only the person and the amount would change, but this kind of data fix would come more often. And I think one is duplicate of other, or there are two expense reports. So these two are similar.
It's the same problem, Divya, or
similar? I think from the implementation time itself there was a problem, Rosie, but I think during UAT or post implementation they identified it. But right now we do have only the data fix. There is no permanent fix for this.
Okay. Divya, I have
and it happens only for Australia, not for US side.
Okay.
And since that time CG team was taking care of this, and I'm not sure about why it was occurring, or if there is any permanent fix. I think I was once when myself and Kausi were talking, we were thinking of a permanent fix, but it didn't go forward. So till now we keep doing the data fix which Oracle has suggested.
Okay.
Yes, Rosie.
I have a question, Divya. When I have a new requirement, for example, a new report. Do you have any supporting documentation or documents about this requirement from the user?
Usually it would be mostly through meetings or email communication or through the incident through fresh service. Like for example, a new report was requested from a user. Mostly it may not directly come to us, but the Oracle team would get to know first. Okay, the so and so user is requesting for a new report. First, they will check whether that report is very critical or it would be of high usage by the business users or not. And they will have an internal discussion with TI, I believe, and they will have few meetings with business users, and if needed, they may involve us as well. And after which we will get to know that okay, what are the columns that are needed in this report, and who should be assigned this, as in which responsibility should be assigned, and which all users can be running this report, whether it is on need by basis, is there any parameter that is required to run this report, all this kind of questions that come up during the meeting itself. Because whenever we start with a report, we get a requirement. Usually these are few questions which we raise it. Mostly Oracle team would be giving us the details. If not, we would raise those questions and we would try to get an answer. And in case of the report output has to be sent to any email address. So all such questions will be discussed during the meeting, and we will just go with that approach.
Okay, thanks.
Is there anything to add up, Laura or Mark, how the requirement phase goes?
No, I don't have anything.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And the next one is barcodes. So this is one of the support work order where they have told that on the existing KKWIP shop packet report, they were not able to read the barcode. So which our team, I think this is a new work order which our team has just started analyzing on this.
Yeah, it's probably a few weeks old. Yeah, I think the font. I think this possibly came in when we upgraded. I think the font of the barcode may have changed because it looks a little smaller. They used to be able to read it on the shop packet, and then remember, Divya, we had it added to the pick ticket so they could scan the customer order as well. That one never worked, but I think that was after the upgrade. My thoughts are that this is just a font issue, that it changed in the system and it's printing a slightly different font, but our barcodes won't read the font.
Okay. Okay, Mark. But is there any way we can check it out? Because if the barcode is being read, they usually read it through the handheld device, right? So how do you just put in lower instance?
Well, I mean, we could print. We could print one in the lower instance, but it's going to be the same as what's in production. I mean, it's just not working. Whatever the barcode is that's printing on production orders right now, whether it's customer order or shop order, it won't read it. There's something different.
Okay.
I think if it's possible, I don't know how you might do this, but go back and see the font that was being used prior to our upgrade. Look at the font on the shop packet. The shop packet, because that one was working. It would work both on the shop order number and the operation number. We could use it for either one.
Okay, Mark. Yeah, sure. I'll ask Sukin and Shiva to test this. Even in, I think ANC Dev instance still has 1.3.
Okay. Yeah, look at that, and maybe even look at the size of it on the report. I don't know if it's a size issue. I don't think it is, but they did comment that it looks a little smaller than it used to be.
Okay. Okay, Mark. Yeah. So I think these are the technical work orders which are handled by Sukin. Thank you, Sukin. The work orders which are handled by Harita. Harita is as well one more technical consultant which who we have at offshore, and these are her work orders which she can just give an overview about. First one is Corigo interface, supply master data outbound to Corigo. Harita?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Harita. Now I can.
Hi everyone. This was an enhancement which came in. So we have to send a file to Corigo to generate a file to Corigo. If there is any change in, there are few conditions. So if there is any change in supplier master data, so what are the validations we have done for this is if there is any new vendor inserted for Corigo, or there is any change in vendor name, or if there is any site is made inactive for Corigo, or if there is any change in vendor's email address of Corigo. So these are the validations which we these are the validations where a file will be generated, and even email address is mandatory for Corigo team. So even if there is no email address in the Corigo data, so then also we'll bursting the concept is this. So then we'll send an email to the Corigo team. So this was an enhancement, and this was the thing. This was what we have done in that.
Yeah. Thank you, Harita. So team, this is again a medium or simple level of outbound interface where in the supplier master there are few customers where the vendor type would be Corigo, and they would have the site as well with all those suppliers will have a site name Corigo associated with it. So we fetch all of those supplier details, and in case if there is any creation of new Corigo supplier, we send that detail. And also this outbound program basically works based on the run date, as in from so and so date, if there are any new suppliers that got created, or if there is any supplier site that got inactivated like Harita stated, and if the email address is blank, such details we validate and we send it to the Corigo team. So this is again an FTP outbound interface where we would place the file under the corresponding location in our server, which would be moved to KKNS, and Corigo would after which it would be FTP to Corigo team. And the next one is new work order required for ANZ transaction print.
This is a report which was already there, and they requested for few format changes, which was done. It's just format changes, giving space, and a few changes are there, so it was done, and it is waited for testing.
Thank you, Harita. And transaction amount to equal billed amount. This is again one of that expense report issue which we were talking about in the earlier work order related to Australia, where the transaction amount will not be equal to the billed amount, and we issue a data fix. And the next one is bursting program taking too long. So this was one of the requests where from Oracle Monitor, the screen which I showed you yesterday, we found out that XML bursting program that was submitted from Brenda's login was running for a very long time. And when we analyzed further, the bursting got triggered by one of the custom program, KK customer open balance letter, and it was running for a long time and it was completing in error. And myself and Dinesh, we connected on this, and we noticed that the underlying folder path was not there. And maybe during maintenance, or we are not sure from when the folder was missing. But as soon as we created the folder, the issue got resolved. Like the program completed normal. Yesterday I did check, and the previous run after we creating the folder structure, the program got completed normal, and the bursting program is now working fine for that particular program. So we just have to update Kausalya. We are just waiting for her to arrive. I did have a chat with Greta on this, and she is fine right now. And the next one is sweep script month end close P7 2022. This is for the current period, where mostly this, I think this Friday evening, myself and Dinesh would execute the sweep scripts in Kausi's absence. Else it will be Kausalya who will be taking care of the prod migration. So I think we did cover everything, and I do have one work order which Sandeep and Vara are working on this. There are two other consultants who gave you the BST related training. So Mark, will this work order be handed over to Mexico team, or will Sandeep and Vara complete this, Mark?
It's a development, so I'm sure Sandeep and Vara will complete it.
Yeah.
This particular one has already been approved. They're just in the process of migrating it to production.
Thank you,
It
Mark.
was approved like last week, I think.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mark.
But yeah, all these EDI customizations they will handle maybe at some point, but the development's been, because that's a new process for us, the development has been pretty intensive, so hopefully it'll slow down, but they're handling it for now.
Yeah. So this one actually doesn't come under the AMS bucket, but the two consultants, Sandeep and Vara, they take care of the development, and this is just kept as a placeholder. They do raise an incident, and they will just assign it to one of our names. Mostly it would be my name. Whoever is leading the team, it would be assigned to them, and it is just a placeholder so that we can discuss in the weekly meeting, and also for migration they can use this particular incident number. But the AMS support team is not involved in these work orders. So I think we covered up all the work orders. Is there any question on any of this? By the way, thank you, Harita.
¿Tienen dudas? No? Arthur, you have a question?
No, I'm clear. Just like I said before, I want to review when we review the access for fresh tool. Maybe we can review in detail every work order related with this file. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. So one thing which I can just show you additionally is all the waiting for testing work orders, right? So what we do is once we finish our development in Sandbox instance or any other development instance for that matter, we create a change management document. I think many of you would be aware by now. I'm not sure whether at Mexico side you follow this change management process. Do you follow this, Rosie?
Okay. This is the documentation about the new requirement, right? Or
No, to migrate our piece of code to PCH and prod.
it's
we
a
create those-
documentation. Okay.
So what we do is we will create a document, Oracle ERP change management document. We'll give the corresponding incident number, and it would be the author, as in the consultant who will be who has the ownership on that particular work order and what all changes are moving forward. It would be that person, and the creation date, last update date, work order number, and in case if it is any of the enhancement, I think we can fill in the Kemily ID, and the tire level will be 1 and change level will be 2, and approvals usually we'll keep it blank.
Okay. No problem. Yeah. Currently, we use this document.
You are already using this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So this is the change management document which we fill it, and we send it to DVA team for migration, which you must be aware. So once it gets migrated to PCH instance, that's when we change the status to waiting for testing from in progress.
Okay.
So that additional information I wanted to give you, and also we would place this CM documents under our SharePoint location, and we would provide that link. So usually what we do is we create a folder. We would go to once you get the SharePoint access, and maybe in the another session we can cover this. We'd go to files, new folder. We will create a folder for each and every incident. And this is what I was talking about at the row. So if there is any incident that has a CM document in it, we will have a folder, and inside which we'll have the CM document on all the technical component details or the functional setup changes within this CM document.
Okay.
So that would be present in this, and during migration what we do is we give only the path, like we would give this path. We'll open the corresponding work order, we'll copy this, and we will ask DBA to migrate it. Like for example, this way, we would just put it as PCH migration request, the work order number, and in case if it is work order description, and at times it would be of priority where we will mark it as high importance, and usually we don't attach this change management document, but instead what we would do is we would just ask DBA to migrate it to PCH instance, and we would give the link. Yesterday I did attach it because Anvesh does not have access to SharePoint, so I was not sure whether Venkat or Anvesh will migrate, so that's the reason I did attach. But usually we don't have any attachments, and it is advised that DBA should take it only from this folder, because what would happen is during PCH instance migration, if we give the CM document, and for prod migration, if there is any change in the CM document, it would get missed, and it would create a lot of confusion. So every time for any sort of migration, DBAs are advised to take only from this particular link, whatever SharePoint link which we give. And in case if it requires any special Apache bounce or OE code services restart, we would just have to specify that, because for prod migration it requires downtime, which Dinesh has to handle that. So it is better we inform him prior like an FYI. So this is all about the work order review. I'll send you the sheet or I'll place it under the SharePoint location itself, and I'll give you the link. Did you get access to the SharePoint or not yet?
Está mandando la minuta un
Yes.
día, máximo un par de días
Only
después.
the
Y lo que
project
está en
that
minuta es lo que tenemos que
yesterday
percibir. Cualquier acuerdo,
you show.
por más
okay,
que
the
era mi
upgrade
cuate y me
projects.
dijo que sí,
Yes.
y en el pasillo,
Just
acuérdate que
upgrade
te dije,
project.
pues la verdad es que no se puede trabajar así.
But I think that was
Ese
from
tipo de
Teams.
cosas
So maybe you may need separate
terminan mal.
access for
Y
this
lo estoy
particular
diciendo
link.
con todo el conocimiento de causa.
Yeah, I think Tia would take care of
Entonces,
it once
si algo en
she gives
finanzas, si
the
algo en sistemas, si
ticketing
algo en
tool access. I
logística, en
think she would
operaciones,
also take care of the
del departamento que
SharePoint
sea, es
access as
un
well.
tema que compete a todos los que estamos aquí,
Okay.
pues estaría padrísimo se los pido por favor de una manera
Thank you everyone. Thanks for joining.
ordenada. Subamos
Thank you.
las minutas, si no,
Thank you all.
no vamos a poder
Thank you,
darle
everyone.
seguimiento. Si no, esto se puede convertir en un... Yo te dije y tú me dijiste, y esa no es una manera de trabajar en la marca. Bueno, y sí, la participación, nos conectamos cerca de 40 personas. Si hay unos que no tienen que participar, pues no se trata de decir algo nomás por decir aquí estoy. Pero también he escuchado donde, oye, es que no, eso no lo dijeron, está en la minuta, cabrón. Entonces, poner atención,